Aloha everyone, my name is Jeremiah Ulu and I'm a senior in the Department of Public Health at Hawaii Pacific University. My capstone project examines Hawaii's food system's vulnerabilities and identifies what we can do to ensure food security and resiliency in the event our food supply is disrupted. In the background behind me is a beautiful Honolulu Harbor, which I will discuss in more detail.
To the right is a picture taken by NASA of the Hawaiian archipelago. Notice the remoteness of these islands. All you see is mostly the deep blue sea. As of July 1st, 2019, the U.S. Census Bureau estimates the population of Hawaii to be approximately 1.4 million, which makes Hawaii the most isolated population center on Earth. Now here's where things get interesting. Remember this key statistic: 85 to 90% of foods consumed in Hawaii are imported. Let me say that again. Nearly all of Hawaii's food is imported, which means that only about 15% of the foods we consume are produced here. We need to get this number much higher in order to create a more equitable food system that ensures food security and sustainability for the islands. If Hawaii suffered a devastating hurricane like that of Puerto Rico in 2017 from Hurricane Maria, Hawaii would be without a doubt food insecure. Some people tend to think of food security as meaning quality of food, but food security is more so about the availability or access to foods. Is there enough to support demand, and do all people have access? In ancient Hawaiian history, lands were divided into ahupua'a, or districts, which were divided into slices starting from the mountains to the ocean. Each community contributed to the carrying of the aina, or land. Some studies suggest that the Hawaiians were able to support a population of over 1 million people before European contact in the 1700s. Within food security is resiliency, the capacity to recover quickly from difficulty, in other words, toughness. Look at the image of the plant to the far right. Despite its harsh environment, the plant is still able to thrive. I like to think of this as an illustration of Hawaii's strength and resiliency in the aftermath of a natural disaster. But that can only be done if Hawaii increases its local food production to offset an over-reliance on food imports. This is the Honolulu Harbor, also known as the Port of Honolulu, which is a primary area of concern. Opposite of the Honolulu Harbor is Sand Island. About 8 million short tons of cargo pass through here annually. To the east is the main channel, which is the only entry and exit point into the harbor. To the west is the Kalihi Channel, which is blocked by the Sand Island Access Road Bridge, which is a fixed bridge, meaning no container ships can enter or exit the harbor from here. Importing foods increases the risk of Hawaii being plagued by invasive species or pests that crisscross the Pacific Rim aboard cargo ships, which could adversely affect the agricultural industry. I cannot stress enough the significance of the Port of Honolulu in regards to our food supply. This is truly the lifeline of Hawaii. If somehow our food imports were disrupted due to a catastrophic event such as a Category 5 hurricane, all trade and commerce would slow or cease, leaving island residents with approximately 5 to 8 days of food supply on island. There is no guarantee that outside aid would arrive on time before all foods are depleted. For this reason alone, it is essential that we increase local food production to ensure food security within Hawaii. Hawaii is exposed to various natural disasters such as tsunamis, hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, flooding, and infectious diseases, all of which could lead to a humanitarian crisis. Another factor is that climate change is changing Hawaii's ecosystems through sea level rising, coastal erosion, flooding, increased storm damage, and groundwater inundation. All of these threats that I've mentioned thus far create vulnerabilities to our healthcare, the economy, and to a normal functioning society. A benefit of buying local foods is that nutritional content is higher, since imported foods degrade rapidly during long periods of oceanic surface transport. It's also fresher and it tastes better. Buying imported foods leads to an estimated $3.1 billion leaving the state annually to support agribusinesses abroad. Also, the availability of processed food and citizens' ability and preference to purchase them play a crucial role in increasing overweight and obesity rate. So how can we strengthen Hawaii's food security? After sifting through the literature, I narrowed down the list of interventions to 2 that I found to be the most crucial. The first intervention was a policy intervention to expand the existing marketing campaigns and branding and labeling programs by the Hawaii Department of Agriculture. These campaigns and programs aim to increase demand and access to locally grown foods. The second intervention addressed the need for extra emergency food storage facilities. A disruption in the food supply chain would cause hoarding, leaving many families food insecure, which we experienced during the early stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. Local food supplies could be depleted before outside aid has arrived, thus an emergency stockpile of food would at least buy some time. There were a few studies that mentioned the importance of increasing local food production and how this would ensure food security. Unfortunately, the Hawaii 2050 Sustainability Plan has fallen short of some of the recommendations because they have not been prioritized by the government. The intervention I ultimately selected was to expand existing marketing campaigns and branding and labeling programs as my focus because it was the least costly, it was feasible, and it was something that could be improved immediately. And it would also support local farmers and drive local food production. The Hawaii Department of Agriculture Market Development Branch has 3 strategies for increasing demand: the Buy It Local It Matters campaign, the Hawaii Seals of Quality, and the Made in Hawaii with Aloha branding and labeling programs. The various marketing strategies aim to increase awareness and encourages consumers to support local farmers and to keep capital and jobs in Hawaii. The ability for local farmers to stay competitive in the local and global marketplace is a must if we are to reduce our reliance on food imports. If we can shift the cultural attitudes and raise awareness on why purchasing locally grown agricultural products is important, Hawaii residents, visitors, food businesses, and schools would benefit greatly, which in turn would influence government leaders to adopt policies favoring local farmers. In conclusion, expanding the marketing campaigns and branding programs would benefit local small businesses by boosting their competitiveness in the marketplace. The goal is to increase brand awareness so that consumers will purchase more locally grown food products, thereby reducing our reliance on food imports. As for future research, because more brick-and-mortar businesses are moving to e-commerce, an assessment of Hawaii's local producers' digital marketing campaigns should be made in comparison to mainland and foreign competitors. I hope that you have learned something from this short presentation. I look forward to answering all of your questions. Don't forget to like and leave a comment below, and to also share this video with your friends and family. Special thanks to Professor Ellingson and Dr. Susan Mercado.